Hello everyone and welcome back to our playthrough of Dark Souls Remastered. I'm Mary, you're beautiful, and apparently this is the only thing you can turn as a chameleon around this place. So I wonder what's going to be surrounding me inside of this place. And you see I don't have a webcam on, as if you were following my Twitter, you know that my actual web or face recording for this episode have failed, so I'm re-recording just my voice to have commentary after all added, which was a bummer, but I'm still very excited for this episode. It was quite thrilling counting that this was the last part of Dark Souls. And here we can see we have actually a little bit of an area before the final boss. I'm just looking around trying to figure out what is here and what is going on. I see a lot of messages in places where they're not well, not a lot of messages, some messages in places where they're not supposed to be, like that one. I'm pretty sure person spent way too much time trying to do that. And here we can see Black Knight. And I'm probably wondering about if I need to have a shield because he's having a straight sword, and I usually have troubles with straight swords and big mighty knights in this game. But somehow he actually was not too terribly much of a problem. Which almost was a disappointment, but at the same time, hey. I've been through the whole game, I've killed a few of them, so I shouldn't have that much of a problem with them, right? This place, by the way, looks kind of amazing. I'm still really much wondering what it is and what have happened. I assume everything is blasted by the kindling of the fire to start with. After all, that's why Black Knights are Black Knights, not Silver Knights, right? Because their armor got sharded, or so they say. Here we have a great sword, which I'm cautious about, but I'm not afraid of it, because great swords are much easier to read when wielded by NPCs at least. Unless you're talking about Dark Souls 3 and a Fume Knight, because his sword just hurts. And apparently those guys are very good to farm chunks. All sorts of them too. And I'm probably just still admiring the place and wondering if there's anything else around except just few knights trying to look for items, but I really don't see them. In front I see a place that I don't like just because those are very narrow tight quarters and I don't like fighting on them, because if you've been watching my series, you know that usually I end up just rolling off. And here I somehow did not fall off. I was amazed, and I've learned my lesson not to go there. I got curious about that mysterious message on the edge of the drop-off, and funny enough, that message says shortcut ahead. So I got curious if there is a possibility it might be an invisible bridge. Which, of course, that was not true, but you know, a false hope is always false hope. Those what those messages half times are about. Sometimes they are very useful and very nice, and sometimes they just want you to die. Like almost everything else in this game. And again, I'm very sorry my face recording have failed me. My computer just decides to be very tricky sometimes, counting that he knows that I cannot replace him at the moment. Here I see an item and I hear footprints. And this was my doom. Because I decided that rolling after all wasn't an option, and instead of rolling around I for some reason decided to brute force this knight. Yeah, that was a bad idea, but at least he joined me in the end and decided to end his own life. That sometimes is very hilarious too when enemies do that, especially if they already killed you. So I'm going ahead and trying to equip my target shield, because sometimes that's the only way I know how to deal with enemies, sadly enough. Sadly enough. And of course I want to see how Golden Tracer will be faring, since it's a very cool weapon. After all, I did enjoy using it quite a bit. And I'm still wondering what's up with those ghost Black Knights that just walking by peacefully and calmly. And I'm probably going to skip you to the part to where I've picked up back my souls and picking up that item. Here we are, picking up our souls and trying to defeat the mighty knight again. Missing the first parry, of course, because my timing still is not perfect by any means in this game. But he's easy enough if you parry him at least once. So we have another chunk, and this mysterious item, this just laying here, is a full set of Black Knight armor. It's probably extremely heavy. I honestly haven't even checked it out because, well, I'm definitely not equipped to wear that. Besides, I very much like cosplaying Shadows of Yarnamite, right? I mean, I probably should have been using katana for that, but I could not go around without using a scythe, since I even ended up killing an NPC for that, which I did not feel too terribly great about, but this scythe is definitely amazing. Besides, after all, we are going to kindle bonfire, or light the first flame, I suppose, and everything will be set right again. At least that's what I assume happens when we light the first fire. Here we have a Black Knight with a great axe, and I couldn't even remember if I fought one of those or not. I just couldn't remember if we saw one Black Knight with great axe. He turned out to be much easier than in other games, if I remember correctly. And there might be standing a problem, because spears are spears. They are very agile sometimes, and sometimes extremely aggressive. Besides, just judging distance sometimes is bad. And not rolling, that's of course very terrible too. But as long as they stick to their little pokey move, they are again quite easy, as long as I'm not freaking out because of them. And as I said, plenty of chunks. If I had a golden ring equipped, I probably would have been even better. And it seems like this is the end of the line, and message was suggested to parry the boss. But as good girl as I am, I decided to try to go about without it, because why would I? I played most of the game without a shield, without parrying, except on a couple enemies. So here we have Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. Music sounds very familiar, as it was used in a different game as well, I believe, unless my memory betrays me, of course. He looks cool. He has a big flaming sword, and I think that I might have worn the right armor after all. I imagine that he wouldn't be backstabbable, because he's a little bit taller than I am, but who knows. That actually hurt. And I was of course greedy and not thinking about when I was healing. So every time after that, when I was trying to heal, he would give me a nice little flame kiss right into the face. And again, I actually started thinking if he was programmed to do that every time you try to heal. I mean, I have no idea, but it definitely seemed like that. And right about here I got stuck on something I couldn't understand what on. And somehow he actually was missing me a lot now that I'm looking at it. Elevation difference or something, I don't know. I almost died too. But I see his health bar being pretty low, so I'm going for it. And healing, because there is no way this is final boss. There should be a second stage, right? Yeah, no. I actually was very bummed by that. That felt very anticlimactic for me, because I'm like, what? That cannot be a last boss. I one-shot it, I used several S's last, yes, but I would have used way less if I actually was wise about my healing instead of being just... ah, me, I suppose. So I'm checking around if there is anything else in this place, some kind of a hidden item, some kind of a last street from the game, and wondering if this is the end of the game or not, because as I said, it just felt very underwhelming. I expected a little bit more out of the last boss. I mean, I understand I have upgraded weapon and everything, but I mean, what else would you have for the last boss, right? I'm not using the best armor out there. I haven't even used the heavy armor once. I know, I probably used like Silver Knight chest piece. I equipped it for a few bosses, but apparently I did not need to do it for this one. So let's see the final cutscene. And that was the game. As usual, gonna let credits roll. Because as many negative points as I have about this game, I did sincerely enjoy it quite a bit. My main negative points are honestly mainly about NPCs, or actually how the game is treating them. I know that I did not take care of patches in the end because honestly by that point I didn't even care. I got bummed out so much about so many NPCs just vanishing or dying right in front of my eyes that I didn't I didn't care. I sincerely did not care anymore. Other than that, game is pretty good, I would say. I said I enjoyed. There weren't necessarily too terribly huge uh, spikes in difficulty, probably because I most likely went mostly the right direction. I did have extremely hard times when I went to the Tomb of Giants, probably way earlier than I should have, but at the same time, when I was going through it second time, I still had troubles a little bit there. Enemies were dying much easier, but they were still dealing quite a bit of damage to me, so... I don't know, that place probably is supposed to be difficult as it is. The big skeleton dogs, they are very slow and very fast at the same time, and yeah, they hurt. They pretty much just hurt. Other than that, for me personally, among Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I would put this game on the last place for me. Mainly, as I said, because of NPCs, but in comparison to other games, this game did not have as big of a game, I suppose, game plan for me. I don't know how to explain it even, because obviously it was very well built. I mean, Ash Lake itself probably could have covered a lot of coast, but if you actually stop and think about it, Ash Lake is very empty. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous place, but there is really nothing to it, and it is a little bit sad. It is really a little bit sad. So, I don't know. For me, this game was not as thrilling as I anticipated it to be, but it might be just because I just felt so underwhelmed by the last boss fight. It was not what I expected it to be. I know that I went into the DLC first, but as I've expected, or I felt that game wouldn't let me go to the DLC after the killing the boss. Actually, I might have still been able to if I turned her away from the Lincoln fire. Maybe it's a possibility, I don't know. But one way or another, I haven't been really upgrading my stats at that point. throughout the DLC? I don't think so. I mean, I probably added a few points in resistances just because of upgrading my intelligence a couple of times, but I don't know. It seemed just like last boss did not stand a fight, especially after Manus and Calamite. Because Manus, he was just a flurry of madness there. But he was a very fun fight because of it. He was hard, he was extremely hard for me, but he was very, very fun. And of course, I mean, them adding the Sith fights there was, I mean, summon, was like a cherry on a cake for me personally. And Calamite, I never got his weapon, obviously, because he's one-shot wonder. Yeah, if he casts that calamity on you or whatever he casts, oh boy, he kills me fast, literally in one shot. No matter if I have full health or not. But this was the game. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing. Let's chat in comments down below. You please take care and see you soon in a new series. Bye bye!